Well, hello, gentlemen.
Hi, Sky. Feels
Hello.
bad for the game. I shouldn't have picked the Vanguard on the Earth Spirits.
I'm so done. I looked at Beastmaster's buyback status, thought it was mine, and then I died and realized I didn't actually have it. And I just immediately was like, sorry guys, I lost this game, because I knew it was over.
Well,
Yeah, that'll happen. That'll definitely happen. MC
That was an
blind spot.
that was very bold picking Invoker first, I have to say.
if Sky or someone, some like,
I mean,
someone
I
who
don't really
watches
care
it,
what matchup I take the hero into. There's like two that I don't like, and I ban one of them.
tell us like what you thought about the game, and like because honestly, I felt a big problem for our team was we just had no idea what to do, and we spent a lot of time doing nothing. And I mean, like, I don't know if you just could point out like when there were some obvious moments we should have done something.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so with York Radiant team, I feel like you didn't have any sort of thought around your team grouping around any sort of item pickups as a whole, and it didn't seem like anyone was working towards any items as well that would allow your team to group up behind them either. And I'd say that that is probably one of your early to mid game decision making problems that I can very overtly see. Because the only thing that your team picked up in the for dank ganks in like the early to mid game sense for that was a Helm of Dominator, and I think that was really the only early game aura item that your team could have looked to group or pressure behind to give your whole team a power spike rather than an individual person. And the way that you maybe would have allowed the Radiant to kind of circumvent it in that capacity would have been by way of like an early mechanism on the Earth Spirit, perhaps, while
I think my bets with the Vanguard. I shouldn't have picked up the Vanguard. Was was a bad pick.
yeah, and that's kind of the way that I look at it too. That the Vanguard was a little bit of a confusing pick. What was kind of your thoughts for the Vanguard rather than Mech? Is that something you do on Earth Spirit a lot?
No. Actually, I go almost the mechanism all the games, but in this game I got burst too much. I didn't have too much HP. That's why I did build the Vanguard on me.
What have you ever considered? Excuse me, I'm hearing myself echoing back, and it's distracting me. Have you ever considered maybe like an Urn of Shadows to
Yeah,
give you
actually,
that extra HP and still giving some of that burst heal sort of potential, maybe in the interim?
yeah, I know. I built it so I fucked up on the build on the Earth Spirit. Actually, I built always the games I built always on Earth Spirit. Just this game, I didn't know. I forgot to build it or something.
Okay, and I think also like for the Beastmaster, we had a little bit of shoe confusion because you at one point had three different pairs of shoes.
At one point, he still has 3 shoes at the end of the
Well,
game.
technically, yeah. His other ones, I think, sitting in the stash.
That's what we talked about it, man. The J sitting in the backpack.
So the way that I would have looked at it for Beastmaster for itemization would have been to consider maybe a Lotus Orb rather than a Guardian Greave, because you could throw that on yourself to purge the Silencer ult, and that that's after the fact. So he silences you, you put it on on yourself, and then not only have you purged the Silencer ult, but you now are deflecting any incoming direct spell type things. And usually after a Silencer ult, the likelihood of them initiating on you immediately after is going to be pretty high. But also secondary, you could throw the Lotus Orb on someone else and then BKB yourself if you're in a situation where you need to be even more defensive. I do still like Boots of Travel on Beastmaster as a whole, but I think getting phase boots and then getting a mech and then building Guardian Graves and then also later getting Boots of Travel is a really ineffective way to spend your gold across the game, because you could have gotten other aura-based items that could have helped the team more effectively with that total spend of money.
But he wouldn't have had his
Okay,
purple J's.
so basically, what happened was I was looking around the team. I'm like, I have all this gold. Okay. I looked around. I asked anyone, is anyone building a mechanism? Because I had noticed that a lot of our team was dying a lot, like really quickly. I thought maybe that would help our team. Since no one was building it, I had tons of gold. I thought, oh, I'm just gonna build it in the Guardian Greaves. I could purge the silence, and then I could also heal my team.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not a bad thought process to have.
It's also an aura.
It's more so of that item should have been picked up on either Earth Spirit or Jakiro more so than anything, I think.
Yeah.
Now, Doggy Sandwich, I think you had some comments for the Jakiro especially.
I mean, the only thing that really crossed my mind that I said in the game was, why not a Yule's first instead of a Force Staff? I guess the Jakiro's not here.
No,
Because
he's here. His mic's muted.
Oh. Alright. It's your fault. You put me on the spot.
Yeah, well, I wanted your comment for that.
Oh,
but...
well, like, my comment was, like, you have a Force Staff, and it's, like, there's the montage of Force Staff is never bad, which it's not bad, but, like, if you have your Jakiro positioned in a good spot, which is not on the front line, because you don't have a Yules, you can't catch anything, so you're making, like, blind setups into stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you not have a Yules so that you can catch stuff? Because Yules would serve dual purpose in this game. The first thing it would do is the basic, oh, silencer pressed R because he wants me to shut up. So I'm going to Yules, and I'm back here, and there's only two things that can be up here, which is a DK or a Nyx. And if they're not set up to stun me, then I purge the silence off of me. The second thing, which is the more common thing with Jakiro, which is if those two things are up here, more specifically Dragon Knight, or something else is up here, I can catch that with Yules, and now I can set up on top of that so my Invoker doesn't have to use his spells on it, or Earth Spirit doesn't have to just stun one of them. He can still look for his big 3 or 4 man stun, and I can take something else by myself. But if you have a Force Staff, it's like, what does that really do for you? If they want to kill you with a Blink DK, or a Nyx Assassin who's invis with a blink, he's just gonna blink on you and stun you anyways. And sure, you can save somebody else, but for the fast initiation, they're not gonna be facing the right way to force them out anyways. So I wholeheartedly believe that if you were gonna get a Yules like you were thinking about, it should have been the first item. But to go along with Sky says, as much as it pains me to say this, if the team really wanted a mech, and yeah, I totally think that Jakiro should have got it. And I like to jump off cliffs when somebody tells me to get mechs on Jakiro, but it's the most practical thing in the game.
It's not. Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst thing, but
you don't play Jakiro. That shit sucks, buddy.
Hey, I have played Jakiro. Jakiro was my solo support grind option for a long time that I boasted my high win percentage with it. And yes, typically I did not get a mech.
I just felt useless because like all I was doing was buying wards and I didn't have any items. And I got the Force Staff because I couldn't afford Yules and I needed something for the next fight to like give me like any kind of like, okay, can we not lose racks in this next fight? And I thought I wanted the Force Staff anyway, but I would have preferred the Yules first. But yeah, I would have gotten I definitely would have gotten mech if I was in position 5.
No, I understand. I think that was pretty clearly defined as being something that would have been a little bit better for the Earth Spirit.
Another thing, just for the Jakiro, he was almost the time out of the position.
Oh yeah, I was out of position like every single time. Yeah, I know that.
Just so notice.
I mean, it's my bad. I was gonna go more on that because it's like it's one of the things you don't want to just flat out say because it's like if you look at the score without putting anybody on blast, it's easy to see. But again, this would be a thing where like if you had a Yules, you'd have some justification for it because like a lot of times you were going around and just based off of like my perspective, like however I looked at it, just looking at the game blankly, looking from your vision, it looked like you were honestly trying to find people most of the time. There were a few times you went on warding expeditions into darkness and it was like, surprise, you found the Dragon Knight who was living up to his name and slayed you. We made some jokes. I made some jokes about that. It's yo, it's Kevin Mercury ass. I'm sorry, buddy. But there were a couple of times where you were like, you looked like you were looking for somebody, like you were trying to like catch somebody out. Which
No, yeah, no, I know. I wasn't looking. Well, I wasn't literally looking for people, but I think I was just frustrated because we had no plan, and so I'm like, okay, I could sit in the base, and while we do nothing. And then after a while, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna start pushing lanes out. So that's really, I was just pushing lanes. I wasn't like, because I'm gonna start criticizing my team now. But we had no push. We had no, we like, I didn't understand what people were doing. Like we had carries farming jungle camps, and it was just like, and they weren't. I don't understand why we were so scared of them. Like, yeah, they're grouped up as 5, but if you see one, you run away. So I just felt really frustrated, and I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna push these lanes out with my breath of fire, and I know this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. But otherwise, we're just gonna have like all 3 creep waves on our half of the map the whole game.
That's the thing, though. We honestly didn't because I took longer to do it. Like the thing about Invoker and is you used to get double Forge Spirits at level 8. You can't do that anymore. You have to wait till level 15. And this game, I didn't even get it because we were so far behind. I had to get the XP boost.
Well, you were also doing an Exhort Wex build anyway,
Yes.
so
Well,
when
the
you
thing
would
about
hit
that is-
15, you wouldn't have had double Forge Spits regardless because of
mean?
that. Well, like
Yes,
for them
you
to
do.
be
It's entirely-
effective.
Oh no, basically Quas mainly, the primary thing with Quas is it impacts the duration. So if you get in front of a tower and pop them, you're getting the full damage with the maxed out Exhort. So if you're pushing lanes for an extended period of time, yes, it's not as effective. But if you're just like pushing immediately right there with yourself and the Forge Spirits, they do basically the same amount of damage. Especially
Yeah,
if
no,
you
I mean
whack
that was
every one
a
of them.
game. That was a game that our draft was like 100% super obviously set up to like push early and try to end, you know, like 30 minutes, 40 minutes tops.
That was
No,
my
but
thought
I-
process on it
No,
too.
it was a push early and win early, or if that doesn't happen, you take it
But
late like we
We
did.
didn't push at all.
But I understand. But then we got to a point where we were so far behind. The only option we had was take it late to like refresh your Invoker territory with 6 slots on the other cores, and when their BKBs are all at 5 seconds, when the entire enemy
it's
team has
refresh
5-second
and silencer.
BKBs, it didn't matter. Like I had BKB, I had Yules, and understandably, it didn't work, and it's all because I freaking died back at the worst possible time at 70 freaking minutes. But like, it got to a point where they could not push high ground. They tried multiple times, and they just kept getting wiped because without those long duration BKBs,
Wiped is
can't
one
do it.
way to say it.
Okay, all their
It's the
cores
wrong
died.
way to say it, but it's a way to say it.
All their cores died, is what happened. Luna and Dragon Knight died whenever they went high ground.
More than I would have liked it to.
And the way I was seeing, everybody was just dying. Everybody was kind of wandering off to their own corner of Dota land and just laying down for other people.
No, yeah, it's like I understand we were like once we were behind a little bit, but we weren't even behind that much. And then when we had the smoke gank into the bottom shrine, we actually won that fight. So I think we played way too scared the whole game. And then at the end of the game, it was just like at the end of the game it was just a dice roll. It was just like everyone was like tired of playing. Well, I don't know about the other team. I can't speak for the other team, but for us, it was we were all just doing like random things, and then
I don't
eventually
even think
like,
we
either
were.
we won or we lost.
Like legitimately, and I cannot say with absolute certainty, but had I not died back, prior to that, I felt confident we were going to win the game. Just because it got to the point where, if it lasts that long, Invoker as a hero, and along with like Beastmaster and the amount of like control at that point in the game when the BKBs are so low and all minimum duration, it just can single-handedly win games. It stalls so much. And I don't like we very well might have lost had I not died back, but I felt like we honestly had like a 70% chance of winning if I had it.
Well, we had the
assuming
first
Lou didn't like buy a rapier and we got caught off guard or something, which I actually thought would happen if we took a second lane of racks. I'm like, can we be ready for if we just go into a fight and there's a Luna with a rapier we weren't expecting? Can we not have that happen?
I didn't feel like you guys played scared at all. I felt like you guys just played smart. You had like boots of travel on 3 of your cores, and all 3 of them could manage to split push really well. So I don't know why he's
They
scared
just
about
weren't
lanes
doing
getting
it.
pushed up.
They just weren't doing
Part
it.
of it was I needed a certain amount of items before I could confidently split push without having to worry about nicks. Once I got to a certain point, I wasn't concerned about nicks or anybody because getting caught out by 2 or 3 people wasn't going to kill me. I had to be basically caught by L5 or stupidly dive a base. And that was when I wanted to split push. But by that time, it was almost too late. I thought we were taking racks after we killed after we killed people at the bottom of Shrine. I thought we were going to get racks. But we kind of split the decision. 2 of us wanted to back off and just go take the Shrine, and the other ones of us wanted to finish the racks off. And so because of that, we kind of had to back away.
So I want to circle back to something Annihilatron brought up in chat, and that I already knew was happening, which was you didn't have someone actively being the proactive shot caller for what your team needed to be doing decisively. And that was the sort of coordination that we were seeing come out of the Dire consistently because they were a stack. Now, I want Enter to chime in with him and a little bit of his team's thoughts on this game. And
Thoughts on which one?
On the
Sorry,
game
you cut
that
out.
I want to get some of your thoughts on this game that just passed, for things that your team did well, some things that maybe you think that your team could have looked to approach a little bit differently, and the like, maybe itemizations or plays, and then as we're kind of discussing your side of the realm of it, we'll get this next game lobby set up too.
Okay. Well, first of all, I think we did significantly better than we did the last time we played.
Absolutely, freaking leaps and boundaries. And Lava, I definitely noticed some improvement on your initiation as well. So that was really nice to see.
Thank you.
So I feel like I made multiple bad calls this game, which lost us things. Thankfully, MC's kept us in line most of the time. There were a couple times the smoke gank. We were about to kill each other after you guys smoke ganked at our bottom shrine over sentries and whether or not it was warded or not. Out of curiosity, did you guys have a ward?
No. When the smoke popped up, I did directly stun. I know you were there.
Yeah, I saw 2 of you in bot lane on a creep wave, and when you walked that direction and nobody showed up in mid, which was pushed, I kind of was just like, we had smoked, and we were kind of we screwed up, honestly. We smoked before we actually figured out where we were going. And so we smoked and we just started walking, and I kind of just was like, I think they're in the bottom area. Yeah, we wanted to go to the jungle, and I'm like, go to the shrine. And we kind of went, and we saw one person, and I think we saw Dragon Knight. And as soon as we saw Dragon Knight, we kind of knew there was probably at least 3 people. So we kind of just spammed the skill shots in that direction, and it worked.
So that was
like
that was the most frustrating moment of the game for us, and I feel like if there was a turning point, that would have been the turning point.
Yeah, I thought it was until I died back.
Well, right before there, we had agreed that Luna was going to finish. I think it was her Manta, and she was going to go to the jungle, farm, finish her Manta. She was like 200 gold off of it. And then we were going to smoke top. So I was top. I was sentrying top, getting everything ready so that we could smoke top, check Roche, and then like sneak around, force a tower, force a team fight. And then the rest of my team just they kind of drifted to where the farm was, and we'd farmed our top jungle, so everybody just drifted down there. And then you just caught them all off, and I wasn't there to like punish anything. And by the time I had a chance to like try and silence like the whole everybody, like everything was gone. There was a lot of frustration. I guess somebody accidentally thought we were smoking down there or something. I'm not sure. But like people were not sure why there was. We thought you had managed to ward up there, which made some of us kind of frustrated because we'd been checking all your supports and like watching the Jakiro ward multiple times. Like you walked in division and warded. So.
I just checked.
When the smoke popped up, I knew someone was there. DK was on the secret shop, was buying something or so.
Yeah, I think what you're saying. I think actually now that I think I remember what it was. It was his smoke broke, and I saw DK, but DK was not in range to break the smoke.
Yeah.
And so we knew there had to be multiple people. And so at that point, we were like, all right, kick the stun. I'm dropping everything I have.
You didn't see that.
We just finished the
we just
blink like
gassed.
10 seconds
We
before
had
that.
no wards there prior. I put up wards as soon as the fight started, but we didn't have wards prior, so we just gassed.
I also just looked. That fight was an 8k gold swing.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah,
that
we
far
were.
behind. I remember finishing. I went in and I just spent all 3,000 of my gold, and that fight happened, and I went back to base after we took the tier 3, and I had 5,000. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, that was a really big. It was almost like 10k total. It was nuts.
Yeah, something I've been working on recently also after our last defeat and some of the other games we've been practicing is just kind of trying to watch net worth, and my team has been doing this as well, on other carries, on the other enemy carries, just to see who we need to take down before we can take racks. So we were watching, and it looked to me and to us like we had a serious net worth advantage, because the Drow appeared to us to be the most farmed on your team, and she was not doing too well in
That
fights.
was not the case, actually.
Really?
I had more gold than the Drow throughout the entirety of the game, basically. Let me look.
Yeah. After 45 minutes, you had more gold than the Drow. Before that, the Drow outfarmed you. But
yeah, I definitely outfarmed me. I had terrible CS until like 30 minutes in.
But so we were just trying to like kind of wait you guys out until you kept throwing, and then but every time you guys would throw and die, we would have to push all the way up, and then we had a really hard time taking racks, and it's just like that was really frustrating. I don't know. I don't have anything else that's coming to mind right now. If other teammates want to say things, they can, or I'll just.
Feels bad.
Wasn't really farming that well for one, and also she was always out of position and doesn't have the best backup.
Oh, but we're talking about the Dire right now, though.
Oh, okay. Dire.
Okay, the only thing I think, and I know it didn't end up mattering because you guys won, but okay, I picked the Invoker, and I have my reasons. I kind of talked to him like I didn't think it was gonna get. I didn't think I was gonna be able to pick it if I didn't pick it right then.
Right, you weren't.
So yeah, I'm like, okay, I think they're gonna ban this because Sky just popped into chat and goes, "Hey, these are his 3 best heroes in order," and I'm like, "Thanks, Sky."
Well, they were complaining that they couldn't find your Dota buff, and I wanted to make it more balanced than what they went up
I gave
against
them my
last
top
week.
5 heroes, but the key was I didn't tell them what order it was in because for the
Well,
last 2 weeks, the
if you
first 2
had a
bans
Dota
had
buff.
just been my 2 best.
So if they had a Dota buff
yeah.
with you, they would have
So
seen
you were
it.
playing
Okay,
the
okay.
Invoker anyway, because one of your other people had it as one of their top heroes.
Yeah.
I actually I changed my items, like my display items. I took my Invoker, like my inscribed Invoker cape, the Dark Artistry one, out of it, because it has the gems with my stats in it, and so I took it out. Otherwise, because I didn't want you guys to be able to hover over and see.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, Sky, can I have the match ID?
You can't download it though.
No, I don't need to download it. I just need to see the stats.
You can't see the stats either.
Yeah, unless you're in the game,
Unless
you
you're
can't
in
see
the
it
game,
because it's a
you
private
can't see
lobby.
it.
There's no ticket for
I'll
it.
download the replay and I'll put it on the Dropbox.
I'm just gonna go with ODB.
Alright.
Were there any other thoughts on like our draft, our play, anything like that?
Oh, that's what I was actually trying to say. The immediate Nyx was alright. So basically, my only logic was the immediate Nyx was definitely good.
Mhm.
I don't think you guys played it properly. For example, and I have a hard time judging because as much as like I'm better at Invoker than I am at other heroes, that's basically the mid and late game. My early laning phase with him is since they changed the way he last hits early on in the game with the stats no longer being a thing, I have a lot of trouble. That's why I actually banned Shadow Fiend. I have so much trouble last hitting against one of those with Invoker in the early laning. So my Invoker's worst point is the laning stage already, and I'm not strong with it. And I feel like the Nyx, even pre-6, could easily have rotated with one other support. Like the first rotation with the Silencer got me, and I was just kicking myself because I actually couldn't believe it. I actually saw the Silencer coming and just didn't register with me that I was about to die. And then the next time, I don't think the next time I died, I think was like Nyx was level like 9, and there was like 5 people all collapsing mid lane. I was literally so scared of the Knicks hitting 6 that I was basically telling my team, just in case I don't notice it on the scoreboard, you need to tell me when Knicks hit 6, because I knew the second there was a level 6 Knicks, I'm dead mid lane if I don't back off. But it never happened.
Yeah, but they just were rotating on you as a squad efficiently
Yeah, but I
enough
feel like
with
it even
you
could have
not
been done
having
earlier.
your. I mean, if they smoke ganked you on their first rotation in, where you both mutually had observer ward in the exact same spot, dropped at
Okay,
the
the
exact
Dragon Knight
same
ult.
time with the Dragon Knight ult, then I mean that would have been an easy kill for them, and they could have snowballed a little bit better around that too. But I mean that's kind of aside the point. Let's get this next game underway. It looks like we've got one of our full
Do you guys have
teams.
any critiques about my Dragonite play?
I really like the blink pickup early. I think that was a really smart choice, and
were,
you needed it.
As our 5th pick, well, he was our 5th, yeah. So we knew we were lacking initiation. Magnus is one of my main heroes, so we were thinking of picking that, but we thought we needed more of a tank. So we picked Dragonite instead.
If you pick the Magnus, you couldn't win this game, I think. Maybe.
Okay, I thought the Dragonite was a really good pickup, but the main problem with
I thought that it was going to be fine for Invoker to pressure you out, and that surprised me that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
That's why
I
we
think that's-
rotated, was because we were afraid of that.
No,
Also,
I
I picked up
understand.
DK on, with the like as long as he promised that he'd pick up Blink early. He ended up going Armlet before Blink. What were your thoughts?
No,
on
I
that?
went Blink Armlet.
Oh, okay.
He went armlet first.
Blink Armlet,
what-
BKB.
The only thing I have questions about, and again, like Sky has said, I'm not very good at a lot of heroes in this game, and Dragon Knight would probably fall into that category in terms of playing, but I do know most of the heroes in the game. So I'm kind of curious. I understand the Dragon Tail level 1 because of the pick-off kill,
The first
and then
one.
the Dragon, yeah, that was my. And then you basically went back and forth between Dragon Tail and Dragon Blood. That very well might be normal, but I could have sworn you don't really want to be maxing out Dragon Tail that early.
All right, real quick,
Because the
who
key
in
is
here
so-
has not played? Who I need to get into this game?
And again, I could be completely wrong.
I have no idea
I
how to level Dragon. I haven't, one of our first